Welcome back to Educate, Agitate, Organize, where we walk through Dr. Ambedkar's Annihilation of Caste, one idea at a time. Last time, we watched the most important argument of all. The one not between Ambedkar and caste's defenders, but between Ambedkar and caste's most famous friend, Gandhi, who hated untouchability, yet could not agree on the cure. So if even the gentlest reformer would not strike at the root, what was left? Today, the final step, the way out. Let us gather the argument in one breath, because everything has been pointing here. Caste is a staircase, not a wall. It divides not the work but the workers. It survives because nearly everyone has a rung below to guard. And underneath it all sits a single stone, the belief that this order is holy, commanded by the scriptures, the Shastras. That holy stamp is the disease. And here is the trap. You cannot peel a holy stamp off from the inside, because the moment you keep the scriptures sacred, you keep the very thing that makes caste sacred too. Ambedkar saw this with a clarity that frightened people. He had watched reformer after reformer try to be kind to the lowest while leaving the holy books untouched. And he names exactly why that always fails. In his own words, he asks, how do you expect to succeed if you allow the Shastras to continue to mold the beliefs and opinions of the people? You see the logic. The cruelty is not random. It is taught. People act low because they have been told, by what they hold most sacred, that the order is divine. And so he refuses every comforting escape route, every clever reading that tries to save the texts. Some reformers said, the scriptures do not really mean what people think. Read them rightly, and the cruelty disappears. Ambedkar will not allow it. In his own words, it is no use telling people that the Shastras do not say what they are believed to say, if they are grammatically read or logically interpreted. What matters is how the Shastras have been understood by the people. That last line is the hinge. It does not matter what a scholar can prove in a quiet room. It matters what a village believes when it bars a man from a well. From that, he draws the conclusion no reformer of his age dared draw. If the authority of the texts is the cause, then the cure cannot be kinder behavior. It must be the removal of that authority itself. In his own words, the demand is stark. You must not only discard the Shastras, you must deny their authority, as did Buddha and Nanak. Notice he does not say improve them, or reinterpret them. He says deny them. Strike at the source of the sanction, or do not pretend you are currying anything. Now sit with how heavy that is. He is asking people to stop believing their own holy books. And he knows it is almost impossible from within, because to be a faithful Hindu was, in practice, to accept the sanctity of those very texts. The disease and the faith were welded together. You could not cut one without cutting the other, which leaves only one move on the board. Walk out. In 1935, a year before this very speech, standing before a vast crowd at Yola, Ambedkar said the sentence that ran through India like a crack through stone. I was born a Hindu. He said, but I will not die a Hindu. Imagine the silence after those words. A man telling millions that the religion of his birth had no place for him, and that he would leave it, and take his people with him. It was not said in anger alone. It was said as a decision. And here is the insight most people miss, the one that reframes everything. When, 2 decades later, he finally converted, leading hundreds of thousands into Buddhism, that was not escape, and it was not surrender. It was strategy. Think about what a staircase needs. It needs someone standing on the bottom step. The whole system of graded inequality requires a lowest rung, to give everyone else someone to look down upon. So what happens if the lowest rung simply steps off? By converting, Ambedkar performed an act of subtraction. He removed himself, and millions with him, from the system that needed them at the bottom in order to function. He denied caste its lowest step. And he denied it something even deeper. Its theological hold. Because once you are no longer Hindu, the Shastras have no claim on you at all. He had argued that you must deny the authority of the texts. Conversion was that denial made flesh. It was the one way to deny their authority completely. By stepping outside the house in which they ruled. So turn the whole picture around one last time. We imagine the most radical act against an unjust order as a great blow. A revolt. A tearing down. Ambedkar shows us a quieter kind of power. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do to a rigged game is to stop agreeing to stand inside it. He refused to keep playing a game that was lost the moment he was born into it. Conversion as subtraction. Removing yourself and your people from a machine that cannot run without you at the bottom. And that is the arc we have traveled together. The banned speech and the staircase. The division of laborers. Not labor. The graded ladder that turns the oppressed into its own police. The holy sanction underneath it all. The clash with Gandhi. And finally, the walkout. If you remember one thing, remember this. Caste survives by consent and by belief, not by force alone. That is why no gentle reform could ever reach it. The cure had to strike at belief itself. And when it could not strike from within, it walked out. Thank you for walking this road with us. Across all 6 chapters. Next, in our coming series, we leave the argument and turn to the man. His own lived experiences. The boy who was made to sit apart. And the long road that led him at last to Buddhism. Everything you have heard is Dr. Ambedkar's own argument. From Annihilation of Caste, the first volume of his writings and speeches. The telling is ours. The argument, and those words, are his.